The Two and Out CFL podcast with Travis Currah and Sheldon Jones starts now.
Well, happy Sunday. It is Travis Currah, it is Sheldon Jones, and we are at the end of Week 18 of the 2025 CFL season. And Sheldon, my man, you're here under very difficult circumstances. You don't have to be here, but you are, and I want you to know Two and Out Nation loves you, I love you, and we're here to talk football, but it's a tough day, tough week.
Yeah, and I love everyone too. If anyone doesn't know, I lost my father the other day, literally right before kickoff of the Rider game. He had a tough fight of cancer, and he battled hard to the end, and he went peacefully surrounded by our family, so I was thankful for that. And I really thought he just really wanted to watch another Rider game with me, or us, I guess. And turns out he wanted to watch one with Grandpa up there. So, and that's what I kind of told him right before. I said, you can go watch with Grandpa if you want. And then a little bit later, it kind of happened. So, yeah, really tough, but I appreciate everyone who's reached out. And yeah, he was a great man. It just sucks that he wasn't really able to go out to the Rider games or anything like that in the last few years here. But one of the last, I guess, public outings that he was able to was my birthday party this year. So that's pretty special. And my birthday party was like kind of a co-event with the CFL Fans Fight Cancer charity, like fundraiser that our friend Glenn was putting on here, and kind of fitting that was Dad's last event, I guess, and he got to meet Corey Mace, who was just there because of some really good friends, Cindy and Doug, and yeah, so I was looking through his phone trying to find some pictures to get ready for the funeral, and I saw the picture of them, and that was awesome. So I'll share that on the page, on the Twitter and stuff like that. But he was a great man, and he'll be missed. And wow, I didn't cry.
Hey, I have some, I don't think I ever got to meet your dad, but
no, but he really wanted to meet you because you guys have a shared love of photography.
We actually did, and I actually had to answer like some questions through you, and he emailed me, and it always put a smile on my face. Like I always got the cameras right here next to the show, or the camera, all off camera all the time. But one of my favorite things is that like when you first started on the show, and he would always like critique your white balance that you had on your camera, and I always that always made me smile. I love that.
Yeah, it was. I love that too. It was great. I also want to say a shout out. I hope he's watching. It's not too late past his bedtime, but our cousin Janelle and her son Landry came out to Regina to help us out here, and Landry has been becoming quite a good little young CFL fan. He says he likes the Riders. He lives in rural Manitoba, about an hour away from Winnipeg, so I'm glad he's not a Bomber fan. I think Bombers are his second team, but I was able to give him a few of my extra footballs, and we were playing football today, and so we got a new CFL fan, and I just want to say thanks to him, because I was just tossing the pigskin with him for a few hours the past couple of days, and it's been a help a lot.
Yeah, well, we're here, and I know that you want the pod to create a distraction for you, and that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do our best to talk about the games that went on, and
yeah,
I
agree with some comments. Like, I'm not going to say them audibly, but I agree, Jason.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And
that's
I also
cancer. We can say that.
Yeah, and I also want to say that they just announced today too that the event, the CFL Fans Fight Cancer event location in Winnipeg. So I'll be tweeting that out as well, so that we can do that, because my dad was really, when I told him kind of about the Stadnik and how much money we raised for cancer and stuff like that, he was really proud of that. So Here we go. CFL Fans Fight Cancer has a special meaning. It's going to be on his obituary. It's going to be on his funeral thing as a place where you can donate to in lieu of flowers. So I'm hoping, him making that sacrifice, he can help raise some more money for cancer. And so more sons don't have to lose their dads.
Is the location public right now?
Yeah,
or no?
I had it. It was a tavern. I'll look it up.
Yeah, let's talk about it right now. It happens every Saturday of Grey Cup, and CFL Fans Fight Cancer, like the name says, it's a grassroots push for fans to get together every Saturday of Grey Cup and raise money for local cancer foundations in the host Grey Cup city. This year's is going to be Cancer Care Manitoba. And there has been merch sales, and now it's become an all-year event. And I think this year, after the merch sales and everything that's gone on so far, we're at about 30,000 raised already, and it's not even November. I'm blown away. It's amazing what the fans can do when they put their heads and differences aside and work together.
Yeah, 100%. I don't know. I can't find it again right now. I can't remember if I saw it on like Threads or if I saw it where the sky is blue. I can't remember, but we will get that information to you as soon as we can on socials, because I know it's from 1 to 5, and it's like at it's like some
it's
old
at
tavern
Tavern United
Yeah.
downtown
Yeah.
Winnipeg from 1 to 5 the Saturday before the Grey Cup. That's right by the Canada Life Center where the Jets play. I'm looking at the map in Winnipeg right now. I always thought that the Portage and Maine thing was like, it's just a Winnipeg thing. It's not windy. I poked my head up there during the Grey Cup there in 2015. It's no joke.
it is.
It's crazy there. But anyway, it's downtown Tavern United, 1 to 5, November 15th in Winnipeg. It's going to be it always is a special event, but this year just hits a little bit closer to the heart. So we'll be there in November, about 6 weeks from now. The Riders getting a win, though. It wasn't pretty. It was not pretty. 2013 was the victory over the Ottawa RedBlacks on Friday Night Football. They took a 14-3 lead into halftime. Mm-hmm. The offense basically had 2 good drives. I mean, they had a better fourth quarter, but the Rider offense still not really inspiring despite the victory here.
No, and I didn't actually get to look back at the entire first series here, but it does seem like at least they did get out to a hot start, and that's the one thing that the Riders haven't been able to do for pretty much the last like 5 or 6 games. Is on their first possession, getting in there and getting a score. It would have been nice if they got the extra point. I guess it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things.
We got to talk about that,
pretty
though,
safe.
don't
we? Pretty safe to say. I think Brett Lowther, once his back is healed, he's back in there, because that was not a very fair outing by Campbell. His second one, it looked like somebody was just trying out the new Madden or whatever kicking, and it just completely it was.
He
I've never
almost
seen
kicked it out before crossing the goal line.
I know I've never seen a kick that shanked that actually was a hard kick. He must have been, obviously he was nervous. I don't know. Maybe he hasn't had as much time with the new holder, the new punter is the new holder, right? So maybe I know he got all the reps this week, but I'll take Brett hitting 3 out of 3 or 4 field goals and missing a convert over whatever the heck that was, unfortunately. So I think Brett's job is safe for the rest of the run here.
Yeah, I would agree. Do they just let it happen now? There's expanded practice rosters going on, but
Yeah.
with
I
3 games left in the regular season, it's not the best time to have a kicking battle.
No, and like I don't know who you would be able to bring in who has like are you gonna bring in Boris Beatty? Are you gonna bring in like Christopher Milo? He put some condolences on my Twitter post. Maybe his leg is is still good. I don't know. Yeah, I just think they got to roll with Brett. Brett, he is a career 80% or 85% or whatever that is. Just this year he has not been even close to that. So, but again, this is kind of the bed that they've made themselves. They could have addressed this a long time ago. It's not like his kicking inconsistencies just started. He's had a rough season, and they seem to want to just roll with him because he's one of the captains and he's so respected in the locker room, and I respect that. But last game, arguably, people could say against the Elks that his missed field goals accounted for the loss, but and I guess Campbell didn't account for the loss here, but still, you want to be able to have some sort of faith in your kicker it coming down in the clutch. But maybe this also just means that the Riders are going to be a little bit more aggressive in gambling and going on 2-point converts because they feel like they have just as much chance of getting those as a field goal right now.
It's funny, Hamilton Sports Central saying, are Rider fans worried he could cost them a playoff game? In short, yes. I think that might be the top worry of Rider fans right now. I mean, maybe some more consistency from the offense, but the kicking is definitely top of mind for the Riders. And
Yeah.
now we can see why maybe Fair didn't get into a game sooner. At least Rider fans know that now, don't they?
Yeah, like I think, Brett, and I'm sure he didn't, but I wouldn't blame him if he kind of sat back and was like, "Well, that's what you guys get. That's what you're looking for." And like, I just in my head when he was making those or not making those kicks, I just had that meme in my head of like I had my expectations were low, but holy F, like it was. It was not good. But again, like we said, though, they did get off to that. The offense did get off to that hot start, and they marched the field, and they got a touchdown, which we've been wanting to see. It's just for whatever reason after that, they kind of stalled out until the middle of the fourth quarter when and we'll get to it with what happened, but the game could have ended very differently.
Oh, yeah. It really could have ended differently here. That first touchdown was AJ Olette lining up behind center, getting the touchdown with touchdown Tommy Stevens not playing in this one. And then the story was Drew Brown and the struggles he was having for the Ottawa RedBlacks. At times it has looked that he was going to be the guy for this franchise. But some issues there, and a lot of them do have to do with injuries. He hasn't been able to stay on the field consistently, but a hat trick of interceptions from Drew Brown. And the Riders with a shuffling defense, CJ Revis moving to safety, but basically, well, it was the entire linebacking core for the Riders got an interception here. Antoine Brooks Jr. Getting a score and an interception there in his first start at that position. A.J. Allen getting a touchdown. Jameer Thurman getting a touchdown. Of course, these guys are great athletes, but the way they were playing was throwing Drew Brown off.
They were, and I was quite worried that they were gonna still be susceptible to giving up that deep play, that explosion play, because uh, I thought Revis would be a force back at safety and maybe like if people came near him, knocking him out kind of thing. But Long of Eugene Lewis and Pimpleton, they only had longs of 27. So if you would have told me going into this game that the longest pass completion the Riders would have given up was 27 yards, I would have laughed in your face, to be quite honest. So I think they did quite well considering that Tavon Campbell's still not in there. Uh, and Roland Milligan near the end of the game had a little bit of an injury scare there. I don't he left the game, didn't return. We don't really know what's happening there, but
Now, did
uh,
Marcus Sales also tweak his
yeah,
knee as well? That could be a
yeah,
problem.
yeah. It looked like it. The good thing for the Riders is they have a struggling Argos coming into Mosaic next week, and if they are able to get that win, they guarantee first place, I believe, or at least home playoff game. But either way, they that kind of gives them a little bit of breathing room as to where they can start to sit some players, and hopefully that's enough time for Milligan, for Sales, hell, even Trevor Harris to get healthy, because I have a sneaking suspicion that there's something wrong with his shoulder or still kind of head from a month or so ago when he kind of got rocked a few times, and it doesn't seem like he has that zip on his ball. He's not throwing the ball all the way downfield. He's not throwing the long bombs. Yes, Dante Myers had like a 63 or whatever yard touchdown in this game, but it was only like a 15-yard pass, and he just ran the rest of the way. So the Riders need Trevor Harris to be completely healthy if they're going to be able to get into the Grey Cup and win it.
Person, my dude, says CFL fantasy insane for him this week. Ended Friday with 23 points. The early Saturday game with 35, and then 110 after that game. I had 158.3 this week. Still cannot win a week in CFL Fans Fight Cancer, the weekly league, but I'm back into the hunt for the Patron League. We'll get back to that. But where does this bring us for Ottawa? Jean Claude, I'm just saying that. That's in the YouTube live chat saying, watching Ottawa this week was hard. Yes, it was. And I actually felt maybe throughout much of the game, there just wasn't that much intensity. Like I kind of did. And I think that goes for both sides. I said that last week. Saskatchewan, Ottawa, that doesn't inspire too much intensity on a regular week. But the Riders, and I believe they did clinch a home playoff game here. Now, if they beat Toronto, they will have the West Final at Mosaic Stadium. But this Red Blacks roster, it could be another year of change there. Is Drew Brown going to be, are they going to roll with him? And like, we all thought that receiving core was, solid. Obviously, Justin Hardy, Braylon Addison, Eugene Lewis, Khalil Pimpleton. They never really got Pimpleton going like they did last year. Even the rookies, Keelan White, and I know Nick Mardner got hurt in preseason. They just couldn't consistently get these guys the ball, and they couldn't consistently run the ball. Having William Stanback as the designated American seemed to handcuff them at times. They'd have to put Adebaboye in there to get the snaps going. Mm-hmm. But the offense was never consistent. The defense could stop the run, but they would give it up big plays and have stretches where they were just flat. So I know there's the coach's cap. That may decide what kind of changes the Red Blacks are going to be making in the front office. But on the field, they could look different again next year.
Yeah, they could. And the crazy thing is I think a lot of people thought that they had a really good offseason with their acquisitions that they were able to get. It just seems that Coach Dice wasn't able to get them on the same page as quickly as needed. And I really hope the coach's cap is one of these things that is changed in the offseason, because Stuart Johnson has more he has more announcements to come in the weeks and months after football is done here. So I'm hoping that they do figure out a way to make that a little bit more, so that teams are able to make moves that are necessary without necessarily handicapping them. Outside of, maybe I can understand fines, because these teams can pay money, but if it hinders the ability for them to hire new people, then what are we doing here? And also, they need to increase the amount of coaches, because we need quality young coaches to learn and to be groomed on how to be successful coaches in the CFL, because we're getting to that point where we are starting to get some newer blood with Mace and with what's the flow in Edmonton there. I'm blanking on
Oh,
his
Mark
name.
Killam.
Yeah, kill him. Yeah.
Even Buck
Uh,
Pierce, first
yeah.
time head coach.
Yeah, yeah. So we're getting some of that, but then we're also still getting some of those retreads of like
Yeah.
defensive coordinators like Benavides and Bob Dice and could be going back to Campbell in Ottawa potentially maybe, but he's not. He's still kind of a young enough guy that I wouldn't really lump him in with the old guard. But they need to do something, and because I think on paper Ottawa should have been way better than they were, and they just weren't able to put it together on the field, and so they have to figure out why that happened and fix it for next season because Ottawa fans, they're passionate and but they need to be able to have some wins every now and then if you want to be able to increase that and get more people out to the park.
And I don't know, I didn't even pronounce it as Jean-Claude, did I? I'm ashamed as a Jean-Claude Van Damme fan
Jean
myself.
Claude?
Yeah. I'm a big JCVD fan. What was I thinking? The question in the chat, could the Riders versus Argos game be close? The Argos have nothing to lose and the Riders need this game for the West. This could be the classic trap game. It does look like it's probably going to be not Arbuckle, Jarrett Dagey starting for the Argos. And I don't know, like it should be.
How many games the Riders have lost to backup quarterbacks? Yeah. PTSD is real. Also, shout out to the boys. Shout out to the Blue Jays. Sorry. I know this is CFL pod, but a couple of good games for the Jays so far.
Yeah. Like I think the Riders should win, but that's the key word.
Well,
should.
Yeah, last year and I guess the game ended up not really being that important. Or no, it was because that we played Calgary the last game, didn't we? Yeah. So last year Toronto came in with Cam Dukes and they beat the Riders in Saskatchewan. If the Riders would have won that game, they would have clinched. Yeah, it would have made the end of the. They would have clinched first because of the wind in Winnipeg, would they not have? Yeah. So
yeah, I think the wind
Argos
was Montreal Winnipeg game, and then yeah.
But the week before, because they would have played to win that game if they still had a chance, right? Absolutely, Toronto could come in and beat the Riders.
So in this game, Dante Myers had 127 yards receiving in the fourth quarter, including a 66-yard touchdown at the beginning of the fourth. Then the RedBlacks kind of woke up, and they had a 56-yard touchdown drive with Dustin Crum hitting Justin Hardy, and then they man, Bryce Carter taking that fumble, the big man, he returned it 81 yards, ran out of gas. AJ Ouellette ran him down there, but that 2-and-out for the RedBlacks after that, obviously, could have been a completely different game. They still needed a touchdown and a field goal there, but things almost got really interesting with that fumble and Bryce Carter almost taking it to the house, but a big stop from the Rider defense to hold them to 3.
Yeah, and you gotta wonder on the play call there. I believe it was second down. They could have just ran the ball and not, ran 20 more seconds off the clock and just, well, I guess maybe they weren't trusting Campbell Fair at that point to kick a field goal, but questionable because, you saw what happened and the big fumble and that can change a game. But AJ Ouellette, kudos to him for getting back there because none of the other riders even tried, but he was able to get back there and that goes to show like him dropping that weight in the offseason. He's having the season that everyone expected to have last year, and there were so many people who got out their pitchforks and said that he was overpaid and he was injured too much and all that stuff. This year we got that AJ that we wanted, and I'm so happy because I was the one who put it into the universe that he was going to become a rider in the first place, and so I'm ecstatic that it's worked out like this.
It's weird because at one point there was a tiebreaker scenario where if BC, Calgary, and Saskatchewan all tied,
BC gets one, I think.
BC would get first.
Yeah.
Even if the Riders technically had the season series with them in some weird three-way tie,
Yeah.
it would have put BC in front. So Saskatchewan winning this game was very big. I know it sounds crazy, against a 4-10 team, that it's a must-win game, but it was a must-win game. However, it does look likely they're going to host the West Final, but there's just not really any momentum going into that. And then they have that bye in between. They got to get their heads right. So they need to perform against Toronto, I would say.
They do. And that 4-10 team, 3 of those victories are 2 against Calgary and 1 against BC. So,
Right.
they could have had a better season if they would have just played a little better. It's a shame. But yeah, the Riders need to figure it out. They need to play 4-quarter football. Too often have they either started hot and let the teams got back, or started horribly and got back in it themselves. They need to play 4 quarters of football. And I also think that there's going to be a lot of stuff that they haven't really put in the playbooks that are going to start coming out in the playoffs too, because they've been running a very vanilla offense for a while, and the defense is starting to get a little bit more creative with pressure that I think they weren't doing earlier in the season. So I'm hopeful that they still have some tricks up their sleeves, and hopefully the players that have got injured can get healthy. It was great to see Philip Gagnon back in there. I was excited as heck when we signed him in the offseason. And so having to wait till week 18 for him or week 17 or 18, whichever, to get in there was upsetting, but I was glad to see him back in there and pushing people around on that O-line.
And 8-Bit Paul, we see you in the live chat. Thank you for that $5 super chat. This is the lowest paying jobs that we have ever had. Lower than the paper route growing up. So you rock.
I love it though. Lowest paid, but I'd do it for free. And we did for a long time.
So it's almost like the highest paid.
Yeah.
Because all the free beers at Grey Cup are worth it. Even the ones meant for Sheldon that I take.
Yeah, we got to even that up this year, I think. Although
there's the
Ryan. I haven't had a beer in it's been a long time, 2 or 3 months.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it wasn't jiving with my medication.
Oh.
But maybe it just won't take medication that week.
I got to watch out for Ryan from Thunder Bay, though, because he's keeping track of how many beers he's bought me. And I don't know if I have enough credit limit to pay that back, to be honest. Do you buy people a beer and expect it back? What do you think?
No.
I think that's a party foul.
If somebody buys me a beer, I want to get them the next one. But I don't ever think in my head oh, I owe that guy 3 beers because he's bought me 3 beers. No, that just means you have a really kick-ass friend who's bought you beer before.
Yeah, Ryan.
The one time that you do return the favor, they appreciate it because they don't care. They just want to be nice and buy you the beer.
If there's a $5 beer time, I'll buy the beer. If they're
there you go,
$12 beers, well,
yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. Okay, Bill in Burlington is in the live chat. He says, Bo Levi Mitchell arguably playing the best football of his career right now. And you know what? He's probably not wrong. The Hamilton Tiger Cats smashing the Toronto Argonauts 47-29. They took a 32-9 lead into the half. Some thought that this game had a chance to be close. Well, quite frankly, it just wasn't.
No. Hamilton took their feet off the gas a little bit there, and that's just what happens in this league when you do that. Other teams, you drop back in some soft zones, the teams will carve you up and get, I think Trevor Harris calls them points after beatdown, is what he says. So Argos got a lot of points after beatdown in this game, but the Argos, they officially got eliminated from the playoffs, and Unfortunate, but they also got some injuries, so they can't even see what some players are going to be able to do with the rest of the season. Probably, I don't know the prognosis, but it doesn't look like Arbuckle's going to be back for a while with the shoulder injury there, and Ryan Dinwiddie has kind of finally said that the writing is on the wall for Chad Kelly to not play this season. A lot of people have been saying that it was going to happen, but there's no point in putting Kelly in there now when they have no chance of making the playoffs. So looks like it's going to be Jarrett Daggy and whoever else they have in there. Look for Jarrett Daggy to get his first career win against the Riders next week. Perhaps, who knows? But
Well, the whole Chad Kelly thing is bizarre because Kelly himself hinted at comebacks. But you have to think, if he wasn't happy with being held off the field, he wouldn't be standing on the sideline, right? Like,
uh, he's gotten paid like what $600,000 this season to do nothing. Like,
and I could see
and
Argo
one of that
fans
was
being rattled because they're going to save that money on the cap. And did they put it anywhere else? I don't know if there's any evidence of that.
But here's the thing: I don't know how much they actually saved on the cap because a lot of it was in a signing bonus, and they didn't even put him on the scheme until
That's true.
way past half the year. So I don't know if they just because of his salary, because of the signing bonus. I'm just wondering if maybe they just didn't think it was worth it to do that if they had a chance of him coming back. But
Is he going to take another snap in the CFL?
I don't know. There's gonna it might not be with the Argos, but there could be other teams that are looking like Ottawa. They really need they. I don't know if they're going to stick with Drew Brown, like you said. I think Drew Brown will be a good quarterback. It just maybe might need a couple more years to progress there. But
Winnipeg would have liked to have still have him at certain points.
oh, well, I saw a friend of the show, Dave Stadnick, put out an interesting tweet that maybe he's tanking on purpose to get back to the Bombers because he never wanted to leave there in the first place. So I could see that. We have Trey Ford in Edmonton, who I don't think is probably going to see the field as a starter there ever again. So he's going to probably be looking for a new home. And in Saskatchewan, Trevor Harris, like you say, I think he's playing hurt right now. I still think at points of this season he was playing the best football of his career, but he's going to be 41 next year, I think. And I don't know if there's a lot of Rider fans who are really comfortable with Jake Mayer being the starter next year. So I think the QB landscape could be crazily different next year, to be honest.
Do you find that the Riders' window is pretty tight here to get a Grey Cup?
So here's the thing. I honestly
And
don't.
Trevor Harris turns 40 in May.
40, okay. I honestly don't think it's that tight because I have a feeling that Mark Mueller has a different offense for every kind of different quarterback, and I just feel like with the defensive excellence that we have on this team, and I would say there's only a few of the players who are like maybe Thurman is kind of getting up there in age, but I don't think because he was kind of questioning whether he's going to come back. I think this year. Micah Johnson, obviously, every year is kind of like we hope he can come back, and he still plays dominantly. So hopefully he's back. But a lot of the core linebackers and the good defensive backs that the Riders have are younger. So I do think that the window is wide, especially with on offense. Uh, you still have he's doing awesome. You have the receivers. The receivers are definitely the strong point in the Riders. They're going to have some tough decisions in the offseason on who to keep for non-import receivers. So a quarterback again, and I not out of the realm of possibility. I hope not, but Chad Kelly to the Riders. There's a lot of teams that are going to need a quarterback next season. So I don't know if he will play another down, but I'm just not sure if maybe the Argos are going to realize that it's not going to work out with him anymore. I don't know.
So as far as Levi Mitchell playing the best football of his career, 32 touchdown passes this year. He has done that 2 other times in his career, and he eclipsed it once 2018, he had 35 touchdowns. Of course, Calgary winning the Grey Cup over Ottawa in Edmonton that year. 2 games to go. So, and we'll see if they sit him for the last game, or maybe they are battling for that East Division spot with Montreal getting back in here. But maybe they want to get him to eclipse some of those numbers. Unfortunately, Hamilton's not playing Toronto every week.
Mhm.
And in the 3 games this year, Bo, well, he had 4 in this one, right?
Yep.
And then he had 5 against them in the summer. And then Labor Day, they lost, but they still put up 33 points. So Lawler has basically half of his touchdowns against the Argos this year, and Bo has looked very good against them. The big difference here, in 2018, he threw 14 picks. Last year, he threw 18 picks. This year, 9.
Yeah.
So I do think he's probably the league MOP at this point. I do think that the last few weeks, Nathan Rourke's made a case to be the one out of the West. And looking at his numbers, 27 TDs, so 5 less than Bo. He's played a couple less games, I believe. The interceptions, though, are pretty high for Rourke. He's thrown 14 of them. I could see it being Rourke versus Mitchell for the MOP race at this point.
Yeah, I could easily see that too. We all know that Rourke's going to win out Canadian. Like, I think that's already a slam dunk, but it's just going to depend, because Bo may not have much to play for, depending on how, with Montreal and with Alexander getting back, I guess they will still have stuff to play for. But BC has a lot to play for right now, because they could still end up getting second place. They could technically, or no, they can't get first anymore, I don't think, but they could technically get second place, or they could go down as low as fourth. But at least they know that they're in the playoffs, and so they have to keep firing on all cylinders, because they know that they're most likely going to be going on the road, and it could be all the way to Montreal or Hamilton. So the Rourke's going to need to stay sharp, and he's just been on fire lately.
They were 5-7 before this run, and I'll be the first to admit I had the Lions as not doing so hot this year. I didn't have much faith in Buck Pierce, but we're very distracted
We are.
going through the games. That's what happens, I think, when we go live. But this for the Argos, and this is another distracting point. 19,000 in the stands, biggest game of the season. MLSE is going to tout that. Jim Kelly in the house. Doug Flutie in the house. The future of football game. Yes, all that good stuff. But it's going to be the last football game at BMO Field for a long time. They are on the road for the final couple weeks of the year. And then the World Cup games next year. They could be 9-10 months before the Argos play at BMO Field again. You got to feel for those fans, having home games in Saskatchewan, Winnipeg, and Hamilton, as crazy as that sounds.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping that once the MLSE saw the reaction to their decision and the reaction to BC's decision, that they were going to change their mind and do it in Guelph or somewhere else. Obviously, that's not going to happen, and that is sad. I just hope that once the Argos are back in BMO, a lot of fans want to come out and check out the new and improved BMO field, because it looks like they're getting like a lot of bells and whistles and party decks and stuff like that. So I really hope that the fans are able to check it out. And I think we saw this week that there may not be a lot of people who were happy about the MLSE and the Bills marketing partnership, but I think it was 19 or 20,000 people there, and on TV when they were doing sideline, I think with Shinetti, I think it was him. The stands looked full, and it looked rocking, and it was loud. It's always loud, but they got this because of cheap tickets and some promotion. So hopefully next season they can maybe just offer some cheap tickets and Argo promotion and get that many fans back, or even more. It seems from us, from an outsider view, that it's so easy to solve the issue there. I hope that they can do it.
Now, the Ticats were just high flying right from the start. Lawler gets the first touchdown. It's 10-0 at that point. And here's why my fantasy lineup was so good. I took the shot. Brendan O'Leary Orange. And he gets that second touchdown. 87 yards to the house. Wide open. And this is after when Jarrett Dagey came into the game here. It was the second possession. No, it was the first possession where Arbuckle got hit from Osai there and hurts his shoulder and leaves the game. And not only was the Ticat offense dominant, so was the defense. Now, here is the deal. At times, Toronto was actually able to move the ball. Believe it or not, they outgained Hamilton through the air. 323 yards passing. Rushing, the Ticats did a little bit better, but the Ticats were forcing turnovers, and they were, making him to work with a long field. The coverage, they were holding Janarian Grant, and the amount of sacks, it was like Toronto had to get the yards to get into any sort of field position. 49 pass attempts for Jarrett Dagey, 4 interceptions, 3 to our guy, Stavros Katsantonis.
Abby.
But the amount of sacks, 8.
Hauser, 4 sacks.
So actually 9 total. So they had 1 on Arbuckle and 8 on Dagey. They were all over the place, and those Argos quarterbacks, they running for their lives, man.
Yeah, and again, when the Argos were able to put points on the board that weren't just field goals, it was when Hamilton was already up by 32 points at halftime, or not up by, but they scored 32 points and they took their foot off the gas. So, yeah, I love seeing Stavy get those 3 interceptions. And he almost had a fourth on the, I think it was one of the first possessions. He dove and he had his hands on the ball, and that would have been a sick catch if he would have been able to squeeze it. But he's playing at another level when he's healthy this season. He's making a case for maybe defensive player of the year, I'd say.
I think defensive players like wide open.
Yeah, I think so too.
I'm looking at Katsantonis' stats here. 3 interceptions. He also had 8 tackles, 2 knockdowns. The guy was all over the field in this one. And I got worried for a bit there. Jamal Peters had to leave the game. I don't know if he had a stinger or something like that. He was holding his arm strange, but he actually came back into the game here quietly. Yeah. Kyle Fisher had 10 total tackles, 2 knockdowns. Yeah, the D-line was just all over. Philip Osai also had 3 sacks. Hauser 4. Jose Ramirez, Casey Sales. It was not a pretty game at all. And to see the Argos get beat down by it was convincing, man. And it has to be for a little bit there. It was looking like the Ticats didn't have the same fire that they did during the summer, but they've been able to run the ball now with Greg Bell, and they just look like a different team, prepared for a playoff battle with whoever it is, whether it's going to be Montreal or a Western team.
Yeah, they look like a team that was pissed off that they got their ass kicked in Winnipeg the week before, because this, like you said, this was a completely different team, and Bo had an off game that game. This game he did not. But it also helps when you don't, give up a opening kickoff touchdown, return for a touchdown, and completely take yourself out of the game. So Hamilton, they came out of the gate, started strong. This is I would say this is more in tune with what the Hamilton Tiger Cats are as a whole. If we have a Venn diagram between the last game in Winnipeg and this game in Toronto, I think the Toronto one should be a little bit more colored yellow or whatever color you want to make it. But this team is going to be fun to watch in the playoffs, especially and I'm not discounting the West teams because whether it's going to be Winnipeg or probably BC, or who knows, because Calgary, they're falling faster than the Riders were falling. Uh, but those, because those are great quarterbacks, great going in there. But if you're telling me the East Final right now is Davis Alexander against Bo Levi Mitchell chucking the rock, I'm seated. I'm here for this.
Yes, let's go.
That's like Qui-Gon versus Anakin. Like, let's go.
No, there was a moment in the third quarter when it was like, uh-oh, what are you doing, Hamilton? Because Hyralahu starts the half of the field goal. Bo gets picked off by McFadden, and then David Ungerer is in the end zone there. So all of a sudden, the Argos are only down 14, and then Woodmansey has a bad snap that sails past Bo Levi Mitchell, and you're thinking, oh no, this could get interesting. But the fierce D-line from the Ticats, they got into there and they made things happen. The Argos got within 10. And then an absolute dagger at the beginning of the fourth quarter with the King getting his crown back into the end zone, a 34-yard touchdown. That put the Ticats up 16, and it was basically all over from there. But yeah, there's been a couple things that I've noticed. Some West Division fans think that their team would rather go to the East and win those games. If you think you can go into a playoff atmosphere in Montreal and Hamilton and still get to the Grey Cup, there's a reason why it hasn't been a West-West Grey Cup. I know there was 2007, but the Bombers were in the East Division at that time. But there's a reason why a crossover team has never made it. It's not easy to do. I just kind of wonder if that is the path for Winnipeg, though, because they would still have the inspiration of being able to play in their own stadium. You know what I mean? And the way that the way that the Bombers smashed the Ticats, just say that East Final is in Hamilton, and they get by Montreal, which is not an easy task. Those Ticats are going to have revenge on their mind, and that has a storyline to it too.
Oh, for sure. And as my wife Tammy put in the chat, my dad, I can't tell you how many times this season he's said how he wants to see Winnipeg go in from the East and have to sit in those small, tiny visitor locker room. But again, I think that would, I don't know if I would love that, because I think that gives them so much motivation to actually win the game if they're in the crappy dressing room, and they'd still be the home team in every sense of the realm, right?
Well,
so
if it's Bombers Riders in the Grey Cup, it's Banjo Bowl November.
I know. Yeah. And
I know the Riders won the Banjo Bowl this year.
Banjo Bowl in November, and the Bombers will get to call the coin toss because they'll be the visiting team.
Right.
Yeah, crazy. But I think, the Riders...
Elks Riders would be...
yeah. Oh, yeah.
That would be Fajardo versus the Riders. Like, that would be pretty wild.
That's what I was going to talk about. Fajardo has single-handedly, stopped the Riders from going to the Grey Cup twice in my career.
Right.
Once as a Toronto Argonaut when he scored a touchdown when the Riders should have won, even though Ricky Ray was the one who did most of the lifting there. And then, doinking off the goalpost, the Cody Fajardo rule in 2027 that he wants to be known for. So I think that... I think, and I'll say it, like, I think this year's crop of Western teams is just that much better than the East, but Davis Alexander is undefeated as a starting quarterback still.
I saw some posts on Facebook that some people think Montreal is the free space on the bingo card.
They're insane. There's no free space left. There just isn't.
No, that ain't happening.
The 6 teams that make the playoffs are good football teams.
The way that they've got healthy, I'm not writing Montreal off one little bit.
No.
And hey, Toronto's not going to be in the playoffs, so that's going to be a different setting, which is going to be fun to watch. Now, let's get to the final game of the week here. It was the BC Lions beating the Calgary Stampeders 38-24. Now, it did get more interesting in the fourth quarter, but at first, the Gravy Bowl, 28,308 in attendance at BC Place to watch a show put on by the BC Lions. Now, at first, it started with both defensive lines getting pressure on their respective quarterbacks. I don't know if there was some adjustment period there. There certainly was from Rourke, and once he got it figured out, they were high flying. The touchdowns, Hatcher gets 2, leading receiver in the CFL, 112 yards here. McInnes gets 1. Katoy back into the lineup, 99 yards, and a big touchdown there as well. It was just one of those things where that offense gets rolling, and it seems like you can't stop them. Sometimes they seem a little bit all or nothing, though. There'll be a punt, or it ends in a touchdown. But I think I would rather that than consistent field goals. You know what I mean? They're so explosive to watch, and once they get confident and they get rolling, it's going to be tough to stop.
Yeah, it's just both. Yeah, both offenses are like that. When you have 6 touchdowns and 5 interceptions combined from the quarterbacks in the game, that's no matter where you put your head on the stand. If you like offensive games or you like defensive games, that's best of both worlds. That's exciting. You might not want to see as many interceptions when it comes if you're an offensive minded fan, but this game, it shouldn't have went down to the wire. It kind of got close to it, but Calgary was unable to get it into the end zone. And that was just the difference of the game, right? Vernon Adams had a rough game, but he's had a rough stretch now. Like he was, I would say, the MOP kind of front runner the first half of the season. Maybe he gets hurt, comes back, and then maybe gets hurt again, but comes back. I don't know what's kind of happened with him. He's lost his mojo. He's lost his swagger. I'm not sure what it is, but still able to get over 300 yards and still able to get 2 touchdowns. Still able to air the ball out with 60-yard completions. Like, he's still Vernon Adams Jr., but the Stampeders, they need to find a way to right this ship, because a couple weeks ago they're going to end up first because of the Riders tanking, and now they could end up fourth still. Like, it's crazy.
It's funny because I said, man, they got Damian Alford. They got to get him involved. And they had a big 58-yard play with him in the first quarter. And the Stamps actually took the lead there. But, yeah, that's it. They couldn't get it into the end zone. And for all that, Nathan Rourke does by putting it into the end zone, it seems like late in games, I don't know if it's the play calling or if he's just trying to still light up the scoreboard. Those 2 interceptions that he threw in the fourth quarter were the reason that the Stamps were able to get back into this.
Yeah. I'm not sure if he's really just trying to ball out and pad his stats or what it is, because it doesn't seem like he was in the mode of just trying to preserve a win. It seemed like he was still trying to get more scoring, and I'm all for him trying to show up and show that the league is fine the way it is. And I know he's all against these rule changes, but when it comes down to it, you just got to win the games, and you can't put your team in position that you can squander a lead like you had in this game.
And then, so this, it was the fourth quarter. Anthony Johnson picks off Nathan Rourke, and then all of a sudden, Clark Barnes is in the end zone, and now the Stamps are within 15. VA gets the 2-point convert, and there you go. And then Micah Tights, a big interception off of Nathan Rourke, and the Stamps get Dominic Rhymes in the end zone. The VA Rhymes connection had quite a few touchdowns at BC Place wearing orange and black. And this is where I got concerned, because the Lions, all of a sudden, they're up 7, and there's 4 minutes left. And what's their drive? 2 incomplete passes to Keon Hatcher. Like, the play calling there, well, I don't know what they were thinking.
Yeah, I don't know either. You have James Butler. Like, they gave him 15 carries, but he only had 42 yards. So, they still got 100 yards on the field, over 100 yards with, if you add it all together. But in the fourth quarter, that's when you just want to give James Butler the rock and just get him to run the clock, get some first downs, get those offensive linemen just moving their feet and going downfield. Buck Pierce used to do that with Brady Oliveira all the time. So I don't understand why his philosophy has changed lately. And you don't want Nathan Rourke to be going at the end of the game there and putting his body on the line, running the ball, when you have people like James Butler to do that.
It's funny because now I criticize Buck there, but then I'm going to give him credit to the very next sentence. But he maybe wouldn't have gotten this credit if it weren't for Robert Carter Jr. Of course, we remember that magical interception from the summertime. And that first one he made here, the closing speed he showed, the athleticism he showed to get the interception there and rob Tevin Jones of a reception was ridiculous. Yeah. And this is where I give the credit to Buck Pierce, because now they have a closer in Xander Horvath. Because on that drive, the big running back comes in, has a 33-yard touchdown. It puts the Lions back up by 2 scores. And then it's happy sailing. I know there's a Robert Carter Jr., another interception there with 38 seconds to go. But Buck Pierce was a part of that Bomber organization that the Lions couldn't beat in the playoffs, that the Lions really just couldn't beat.
Yeah.
And this Horvath thing, to me, it feels like that is preparation to beat teams like Winnipeg in the cold, playoff football.
That's fair.
And beat those DBs and those linebackers late in games with this guy. That's what it feels like to me. This 240-pound, big running back comes in, and these guys have been playing football for 3.5 quarters, and they can't stop the guy. Now, Bomber fans will say, we saw what Buck Pierce did, and the play calling in the Grey Cups, and they're going to blame him there. And I say, I think we got back-to-back, the best of both worlds on back-to-back possessions. The 2 and out with the 2 incomplete passes, and then all of a sudden the Xander Horvath thing. If they can stop those 2 and outs when you're up 7 in the dying minutes of a game, I think the Lions will be good. But to have a closer like Horvath, that running back, against whoever it is, the Riders, the Bombers, or the Stampeders, I think he could be a really serious playoff weapon for this team that has now won 4 in a row. I don't know if anybody wants to see the Lions in November.
No, I don't think so either. And when the Riders have had success and they've been leading games, they've actually brought in Tommy Stevens to be their closer instead of just on short yardage. He actually will run the offense there, and so it's really good when teams are able to do that, because near the playoffs, when it does start to get cold, that's exactly what you need. And Horvath, he did really well, and by then I think Calgary was just beaten down and just nothing they really could do at that time. But if he's got that extra ace in his card or in his deck, when you have James Butler too, it's like a little thunder and lightning, and that's incredible to have in the playoffs.
Well, you see, Butler had 15 carries for 42 yards, so Calgary shut him down pretty good.
Yeah.
Butler had 6 catches for 97 yards, and that's his
Yeah.
big addition, because Rourke trusts Butler to make some really tough catches at a running back that not all the running backs in the league can make. And
Right.
then Horvath comes in as the closer and just smashes guys. But even Dave Dickinson, his halftime interview, I think he's like, we're getting pressure. It's just not enough. Like when Rourke is on, he's really tough to stop. And he had 2 carries for 22 yards as well. But then we got to give a shout out to that Lions D line, who has also been completely different since the Argos popped 50 on them at the end of August. They had 6 sacks in this one. Matthew Betts, Thibaut oh man. I'll skip that. Deontay Williams, Dwayne Hendricks, but we got to give a shout out to Jonah Tavai, who has 2 sacks in this one. This guy is a D tackle. He's making noise. And I wanted nothing more in that moment for that interception to count for the big man. But It came out and it hit the ground. Tavai gets credited with 2 knockdowns, 2 sacks. And so that D-line is making teams pay right now, too.
Oh, for sure. And it was in the chat. I'm sorry I can't see. Oh, it was 8-bit Paul. He did say Betts for defensive player too when we were talking about Stavros. Very fair. Betts is having an unreal season as well. And yeah, when the D line is able to get pressure on the other team, that's when good things happen. That's when he forced turnovers and sacks and caused 2 and outs. It's interesting. Not interesting. It's great for BC Lions fans to actually see BC having their defense successful, because, like you said, that game that they allowed Toronto to score 50 on them, it's kind of been a change in the guard since then. And I think a lot of people were expecting Benavides to get fired, but somehow he's able to pull a rabbit out of his hat and get his defense clicking and making them probably the scariest team to face right now in the playoffs.
Yeah, the Stamps lost 4 in a row. The Lions won 4 in a row. And they're going to be a nightmare, I think, for anybody. When I talk about Betts, though, like 14 sacks total, 10 in the last 4 games, though. I do think that the recency stuff, maybe that will get with voters, though. You know what I mean? Like, I think everybody has short memories. When he's also got 3 games in a row with a forced fumble. I actually wondered if you froze.
Yeah, no, it could be recency, but hey, this is when the time is going to come for the votes to happen soon. So I think 10 in the last 4 games is going to really help him get votes in this award, or for this award. I don't know really who in the West. Maybe Thurman. He could maybe Revis. I don't know. Like, I don't think Milligan's going to get it for the Riders this year again. I think it's a shame because he's just not getting thrown to for the most part. Actually, maybe Tavon Campbell could be an option with his game-breaking interceptions.
Leanne says your bet stare was not creepy at all.
Good.
I do think it topped.
The one that you clipped was horrible because I was
like
laughing when it was, but
yeah,
that was a little better.
Yeah, a little. I'm very impressed by what you just pulled off there. Good job, man. So, look, all of a sudden it feels like, why did they wait so long to sign TJ Lee? He's got 8 tackles in this one.
I was saying that at the beginning of the year when he had that, when he got cut, and Mackey wasn't there too after the arrows up. It seemed like only Sean White made it after the first season there, and TJ Lee. I thought he was great last season. I don't know why he wasn't re-signed, but him coming back, whether it's just another veteran in the room or whatever it is, he's helping those Lions be able to stop the ball and just get turnovers and just give the ball to Nathan Rourke, and he's made magic with it.
And I think it's VA. It's just in between the ears for him. 21 of 38, 303 yards, 3 picks, 2 interceptions, or 2 touchdowns there. Eric Brooks was the leading receiver, 92 yards on 5 catches. Dominic Rhymes, 2 for 24. It seems like that Gary Peters can make a big difference, and if he's covering your number one receiver, we've talked about him a few times. If he's talking and if he's covering, then your team's in trouble. Gary Peters, 2 knockdowns in this game as well, tying the elite Jonah Tavai with pass knockdowns. But Gary Peters is a problem for number one receivers on opposing teams, and it was proven again in this one. They have to get Rhymes and Alford going on a consistent basis. That's how they were winning. And in the summer, I mean, Dedrick Mills is still, but he only had 7 carries, 85 yards. Sometimes it feels like you just gotta, but listen to that, like 12 yards a carry, and he only got the ball 7 times. I think it would have helped Calgary out in the first half if they were able to slow down the momentum from that Lions offense a bit.
Yeah, when you're down 21-6 at halftime, like you have to get back into the game quick, especially Calgary's offense is pretty explosive, right? And so VA was trying his best to get them back into it, but sometimes when that happens, you have too much urgency, and it can lead to overthrows or underthrows or just being off target. And he didn't have any receiver that caught all of its targets. Like most of them, they're kind of around the 60%. I'm not saying that's all on him, but he's just got to be able to put that ball where it needs to go so that they're able to score touchdowns instead of field goals. The Calgary Stampeders need to do what Stuart Johnson wants. That's trading touchdowns for field goals.
Well, and Vernon Adams Jr. threw a touchdown pass through the uprights. So take that, Stuart. Take that.
Ghosts.
Stuart.
Ghosts.
Do you want to talk about your fantasy lineup?
Yeah, I ended up getting 131 points. So
hey, on 3 games, you did pretty good.
I was pretty happy with that. Yeah, the Lions got me 12 points on defense. Bo, 54, or almost 55 points. Ouellette had 16. Brown only had 12, but Hardy, I thought he would get a lot more against the Riders defense. So yeah, I can't say that I had a bad week. It would have been nice if I would have done this a couple weeks ago and maybe made the playoffs in the podcast league. Also this week I forgot, just due to circumstances in my life, to submit picks for my my pools, and so now I for sure will not win any of my pick'em pools, but I did go 3-0, so I would have won money in my one pool, but oh well. That's how she goes.
My fantasy lineup, 158.3. Lions defense with 12. Rourke with 60.4. He was my captain. Greg Bell, 18.6. Spencer Brown, 12.3. Justin McInnis, 14.1. Keandre Smith, 15.8. Brendan O'Leary Orange, 25.1 in my flex. So now I look at the Patron Fantasy League. I am now in third, less than 20 points behind first place. ODRMR12. No, I screwed that up. ODMR12. First place, on track for the jersey. But if I have another week like I did last week, where I actually won by 12 points over Sink the Boatman, well, that's all I need to do. Maybe I got to buy that Stavros Katsantonis jersey.
Yeah.
But Avi fell from 1st to 5th. Ooh. There's
Ouch.
lots of movement on the Patriot Fantasy League, man. Sheldon Jones
Yeah.
not even in the top 10, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's okay. Next year. I'm a Rider fan. There's always next year.
I'm up on you by about 180 since
Oh.
that league started.
That's great. Before that league started, you were in last place, I believe, in the
I was getting
podcast
50s and 60s. Oh, I was just terrible. We should go through your power rankings before we say goodnight, because there's only been movement in one spot.
Yeah, I only moved. I think it was Hamilton. Sorry, I thought we were gonna do this on the other one, so I'm not. I don't have it up here. Yeah, so basically just BC to or no. Yeah, Hamilton moved up over Saskatchewan. That was the only difference there. Both got wins, but Hamilton obviously a little bit more decisive, and I'd say Toronto is a little bit better than Ottawa. So, Ottawa is the team that let Chris Strevler beat them with 3 passes in the first half or whatever it was. So not a great day at the office for the Riders. However, they get a win for the first time, I think, since like 2017 in Ottawa. So that was good. But yeah, easy power rankings for me this week. I was just kind of happy about that.
And the Argos become the first Grey Cup defenders to not make the playoffs since the Argos. In 2018.
It's either they win the Grey Cup or
Yeah.
they miss the playoffs the next time. It's crazy.
That is week 18 of the 2025 CFL season. Sheldon, we love you. Thank you for being here, my man.
I love you all. I love you, Dad.
Rate, review, subscribe to Two and Out on your favorite podcatcher and YouTube. And we'll talk to you soon to get you ready for week 19.
The Two and Out CFL podcast is written, produced, and hosted by Travis Currah and co-hosted by Sheldon Jones. Subscribe to Two and Out on all major podcast platforms and YouTube to keep up to date with future shows.